So thanks for joining our session on how self-service business intelligence can shorten your time to decision. Yeah, my name is Ryan Chan. I'm the partner account executive with Tangerine Software, and we're joined by my colleague Jasdeep, who will show you the demonstration of Sage Enterprise Intelligence later today. So to start, just to share with you a quick agenda, first we'll share with you some market insights in business intelligence, and then we'll look into some common challenges in decision making. And then I'll talk to you about the 4 keys that you need to greater visibility and making better decisions. And we'll then dive into our product, which is Sage Enterprise Intelligence, and the 5 benefits of our solution. Lastly, I'll show you the universal data models and how SEI works, and I'll pass it over to Jasdeep to show you the product demonstration. So if you have any questions throughout this presentation, please just feel free to type it in the chat box and we'll get to it at the end of the presentation. So to start off, I want to share with you market insights that were found from a study done by the Aberdeen Group on small to medium-sized businesses that don't currently have BI integration. And what they found is that 88% of managers currently can't measure marketing influence on sales and pipeline. Also, 77% of managers aren't notified when changes affect the business. And lastly, on average, it takes around 11.5 days for managers to be notified of events affecting the business. So in today's presentation, and for those not using a BI solution today, I'd like for you to reflect on how these relate to your business, and also how are you accessing information needed in order to make well-informed decisions, and how long is it taking your team today to make these decisions, and are you missing your window of opportunity? I now want to share with you some common challenges in decision making. First, there's a lot of data out there, right? It's become crucial for businesses to cut out the noise and focus on insights that will help them make smart, timely decisions. Second, there's also an increasing business uncertainty today. With the abundance of information, it's become hard to identify the root cause of problems. So there's a lot of factors like challenges with performance visibility, operational silos, productivity losses, and these all contribute to that uncertainty. There's also a lack of collaboration and visibility within teams, right? There's different parts of the organization that are operating with different levels of information, different silos, making collaboration very challenging today. So that brings me to talk about the 4 keys that you need to gain greater visibility and making better decisions in your team. The first one is you need real-time information access. With the right tool, you'll be able to integrate and connect silos in your business and gain real-time knowledge in the status of all processes. Second is you want to have an interactive data visualization and analysis tools. As having a simple tool like this to access your data, it'll allow you to become more independent and allow you to create reports that's going to be meaningful to your team, meaningful to your role as well. And later in the presentation, the demonstration today, Jasdeep can show you how SEI can do this. The next one is collaboration, right? You want to enhance collaboration in your teams as you will have a substantial improvement in speed of decision making, resulting in maybe benefits in areas such as your customer response times, your process cycle times, and as well as your employee productivity. And lastly, self-service and mobility. As in today's business landscape, as we know, being mobile has become crucial, and you want your leaders to be able to make decisions even when they're out of the office. So you'll be able to improve visibility within the organization. You'll be able to accelerate notification of important changes, and ultimately reducing your time to decision. So that brings me to our product, which is Sage Enterprise Intelligence. And I want to share with you, before we talk about the product, is why we do what we do and how we currently do it. We really believe in improving the way our customers work and the way you manage your data. And our goal is for customers to be prepared for the future. So how we do that, first is we make sure our products always stay innovative. Second is our product is going to be simple for you to use. It's going to allow our customers to be independent, and that it's easy to integrate with all the solutions that you work with, and that it will continue to evolve with you as you continue to grow your business. So what SEI is it is a fully integrated business intelligence solution that will help you make informed decisions based on real time. The 5 benefits of our product, first is you'll gain visibility and insight. This gives you an enterprise-wide view of your data, and you'll have one view in real time connecting all your disparate systems. You'll also be able to empower all your users, as we'll give all your users access to the data. So you can create your own reports, you can make decisions faster without having to rely on IT. You'll be able to slice and dice your data and your reports, and we can show this to you in the demonstration later today as well. You'll also be able to collaborate securely, as you'll be able to share important information with all your stakeholders. You can create security access, you can create a schedule of distribution of your reports, and you can send out static reports or dynamic reports. Next is you'll be able to also manage your data from multiple sources using our data sync module. This really helps you, as it will help you migrate, synchronize, as well as transform your data. And lastly, you'll be able to achieve a quick return on your investment, as we provide you ready-to-use pre-built templates, and as well as our universal data models that get you started on day one. So that's a good segue to the universal data models, as we provide this to you on day one as you use Sage Enterprise Intelligence. This is a ready-to-use set of views, dashboards, and reports. And how it works is we integrate and consolidate all the information and all the systems that you have to provide you ready-to-use reports for your finance, for your sales, as well as for your CRM. And even we're working on our inventory reports as well. So the UDM gives you access to well over 185 key performance indices and indicators that follow sales business reporting standards. So in conclusion, whether you use our predefined dashboards and reports that we'll provide you, or you choose to create your own, SEI will ensure that you're equipped with everything you need to analyzing your enterprise sales activities. So with that said, I'll pass this over to Jasdeep to show you the demonstration of the product. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Ryan. Let me go ahead and share my screen. It says you cannot share the screen while the other participant is sharing. So could you please stop sharing your screen? Great. All right. So let me know when you can see my screen, Ryan.
Perfect. We can see it.
Amazing. All right. Thank you for your lovely presentation, Brian. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. My name is Jasdeep, and I'm pre-sales engineer for Sage Enterprise Intelligence. And I will be walking you through the product demonstration of the solution today. And during the course of the presentation, if you have any questions, please feel free to not stop me here because you're all muted, but you can always post your questions in the chat box, and we will take a few minutes towards the end of the presentation to address your questions. So please do not hesitate to post your questions. All right, so we will begin by looking at the first platform of SEI, which is going to be the web application. I am using a web browser, Google Chrome, but you could also use a web browser of your own choice. It could be Safari. If you're using Mac, it could be Microsoft Edge, Mozilla. Most of them support HTML5, and this application is fully equipped with those technological features to help you log in into your browser of your choice. Further, each SEI user gets a unique username and password when you're trying to log in. And there are different security settings that can be tied to each login, making sure you have the access to the right information, which means if you're from the financial team, you only want to see the financial reports, or if in case you are from inventory and warehousing team and you want to just have a look at the warehousing reports or inventory status or the low stock levels, that can be totally configured per user. As we log in, we are taken directly to the main landing page, and let me take a quick moment to explain you the layout of this application here. Very easy, as we can see, not much going on the screen, just keeping it very simple. On the left-hand side of the screen, we have the command center, which comes with the various tabs here on the top. The first one is the data models and views, followed by the dashboards, a report designer, and also a section called favorites, where we can store the reports that we'll be using most often. All of this within the same application, so you have the ability to have access to everything you need when it comes to reporting and visualization of the data without having to switch to other applications for different tasks. All right, so we'll begin with the first tab right here, which is the data models and views, which is basically the repository for all out-of-the-box templates, reports, graphs, and charts which are delivered and which are tailored to Sage 100 ERP. So these are all delivered out of the box. As you can see right here in Sage 100 folder, right here, we have the various modules such as sales, accounts payables, receivables, general ledger, inventory management. And if I expand these further, we will have different reports within each set of these different data models, graphs, and charts, which are provided out of the box, giving a very good starting point to each user when it comes to starting their reporting within SCI. In general ledger, we have GL balances, GL financial, which comes with a list of different reports like trial balance, income statement, so on and so forth. Inventory management, which has reports on low stock, item sales, so on and so forth. And each one of these reports are also real-time reports, which means any of the transactions posted in Sage 100 will be reflected into these reports right away. On top of that, we also have the universal data model, which is provided as a second set of template. And this advantage of using the universal data model is that we can connect to not only the Sage 100 data, but also data coming from other sources. It could be a legacy system, it could be a third-party application, or it could be also an application in the cloud. For example, as if you would like to connect to a Salesforce CRM, which is in the cloud, and you want to report on your Salesforce data within SEI, we can actually do that with the help of universal data model. And then there are different modules within the universal data model for finance, sales, CRM, sales, and inventory. And each one of them come with industry standard reports and KPIs. So what we will do now, we will actually go into some of these reports and have a deep dive and understand what these reports look like. I will go ahead and open one of the GL balances report within the general ledger. And another thing which comes with the opening of these reports is that we can set up something which is called the selection pages. A selection page is a set of different filters where we can clearly define what exact information do we want to see when the report loads. For example, in the fiscal year, I type in 2020 and then confirm my changes, which would result in all the postings for that particular year as mentioned in the filter right here at the bottom. Now, understanding how these reports actually work. Now, these worksheets are based on the principle of groups, pivots, and columns. And the data that we see in these reports really depends on what fields we enter into these shelves and in what order. For example, we have company code, fiscal year, fiscal period, and the account code in our groups shelf. And then if we go back into the groups column right here, we will understand how it follows the same exact sequence of these fields. Starting with the company code, these are the different company codes that we can see here. So it shows us all the companies put together. And then we can further drill down on one of these companies to see the fiscal year for which we already filtered. Within the fiscal year, we will be able to see the different fiscal periods. Drilling down further on the fiscal periods, we can see all the different account codes posted in that period. And further, we can go into some raw level details such as the account descriptions, the transaction dates, journal entries, so on and so forth. Right here on the other side of the report, we have what is called the columns. So ending balance, credit, debit, and beginning balance. These are all the different columns which are loaded as we drill down and expand these rows on this report. Now, this is also a generic template which is provided to each user out of the box. But if they would like to slice and dice these reports, bring in the new dimensions or measures into this report, that is totally doable as well. Let's say I want to bring in my fiscal period as my first field. So I'm simply going to swap it with my company code. And then I'm also bringing in the account code right after my fiscal period. And that's all it takes to change the layout of this report. For example, now we can see the fiscal periods as our first level. And then as I drill down on that, the next thing we will see is the account codes. We can also do it in a very different way. Let's say if you want to see our postings by periods. So let's say if we select the first 5 fiscal periods, and I can add a filter so that the filter only keeps these 5 fiscal periods for me. And then the next thing we can do is to bring that fiscal period into my pivots. And then as a result of that, let me remove some of the fields. And if you would like to keep only 2 columns, depending on how many you want to keep, you can also expand these columns, and you will be able to see the postings for different account codes per period, and each one of them kept side by side so that we can easily compare these postings as well. If we would like to bring in the new dimensions or measures into this report as well, we have a toolbar here on the right hand side, and this is in fact the place where all the different dimensions and the measures actually rest. So for example, we can bring in the main account IDs or the company codes or the account codes and even the segment codes as defined in Sage 100. Further, in the measure side, these are the various measures which are provided out of the box with this data model, ranging from posting amount, revenues, cost of goods sold, expenses, net income. So we can easily grab the field that we would like, for example, revenues and expenses also, and we can simply drag and drop them into the report. And the next thing we see is that 2 new columns are added into this report, showing us the revenues and expenses for this report as well. Coming to the other side, let's explore some of the sales orders here. This data model consists of a lot of different visualizations and reports based on sales orders. We also have the reports on sales analysis, invoice history, sales summary, so on and so forth. So I will go ahead and open one of these reports, sales orders. This functioning of this report is going to be exactly the same, just like we saw before. And this is where the difference actually comes. What fields we include in our groups and columns. So here we're starting with the order year. And as we drill down on that, we have the different company codes, order month. Drilling down on the order month, we can see what is the order type. It's a standard order. Going further down on that, we can see the order number as well. And then all the different items and names are the names of these items which were sold and which were a part of this order, which can also be all listed right here in this report, and we can see them. The different dimensions which come with this data model here are last delivery 1 to 5 days, the quantity back orders, unit price, unit cost, the extension amounts, profit margin percentage, order freight, so on and so forth. So a lot of different dimensions out of the box to give us a very good starting point when it comes to reporting on our sales numbers as well. I will open one more example from our real-time templates, which I would like to open from the inventory management. And here, let's have a look at these low stock level reports. In this report, we are having only one field, item code. So these are all the different items for us. but we can still drill down on them to see what warehouse code are these items stored in. Then we can see the various metrics, such as what is the quantity on hand, what is the available quantity in the reorder point, and what is the action quantity. The various measures which come along with this one are all listed right here. So these are some of the sample reports I wanted to show when it comes to the out-of-the-box reports delivered for Sage 100. And then the list keeps going on, of course, with the purchase orders, material requirement planning, accounts payables, accounts receivables, so on and so forth. Further after this, like I said, we also have the universal data model, which is delivered for finance, sales, CRM, and inventory. So let's have a look at what reports we actually have access to when it comes to the financials within the UDM. So of course, industry standard reports such as income statement, balance sheet, cash flow reports, trial balance. So we will open a few of these reports to have a look at them. Income statement report, we can easily filter on the desired year. Similarly, we can enter the information for other dimensions too, such as chart of accounts, the company code, so on and so forth. And here is the standard structure of an income statement report, where we can see the sales, COGS, and expenses. And we have, in fact, included some of the additional dimensions here as well to create an EBITDA dimension here. We can further drill down on the sales to see various account codes under sales. Further drilling down on that, we can go all the way to the document numbers or the invoice numbers for this particular account codes or the postings. Now, the dimensions and measures which come out of the box with UDM are enormous. We have all these different folders for each one of these different catalogs, which, for example, account posting has posting from last year, debit, credit, variance percentage from last year. Then we have the actual year-to-date, rolling 12, budget and actual mix, debt, inventory, sales, COGS. As you can see, each one of these folders has an enormous number of different KPIs we can use from the day one of using these reports. Again, the act of bringing them into the report remains very simple. We can simply select one of these KPIs or select multiple of these KPIs together, and then simply drag and drop them into the report and see them calculated on the fly. I would like to open another report to show a more advanced feature here when it comes to reporting within SEI. For example, here in the balance sheet, we have assets, liabilities, which are further drilled down to the sub-levels to show us the current assets, fixed assets, current liabilities, and long-term liabilities, which we can further drill down to see the account codes, so on and so forth. But what's remarkable in this report, for example, is the conditional formatting, the color coding that we have done on this column. So what's actually happening here is that we are comparing the ending balance of this year versus the last year by defining our own rules. So if I go into the ending balance, which is going to be the corresponding first field here in the columns, I can right-click on that to select the option column formatting, where I will be able to see the two rules defined. So if the ending balance of this year is greater than the one from the last year, we have chosen a green background for that with a thumbs up sign. And if it is lower, we have chosen a red background simply for that. We can set up as many rules like these by using the plus button right here, and we can choose what would be our dependent column. What are we comparing it against? Is it a constant value that we give it by ourselves, or if we are comparing it against another column, or even a global variable within SEI? Then we can define a value condition where we have all these different operators to create our rule. And then finally, we pick up our icon of our choice and the background color and add any comments if needed with the help of this button right here. So that's how easy it is to create these business rules on the fly to clearly bring out the information which matters the most on these reports for you. There are some of the advanced reports which also are delivered out of the box, such as AR and AP based on the financials. For example, AR and AP, these are offering the aging reports, and they both are based on the same principle. So Let me open one of these reports to explain what I mean by that. Here, for example, in the AR report, we have the date chosen followed by a bunch of different dimensions, which we can drill down on. But I would like to keep my customer ID right after my date chosen. So let's do that first. And now as the report will reload, we will see the date chosen and all the different customer IDs under that date. Now, interesting thing about this report is that it offers the aging intervals, where we can see 1 to 30 days, 31 to 60 days, 61 to 90 days, so on and so forth. And through these intervals and various rows within these, we can clearly see which of the customers owe us how much amount and how long it has been. Further, these intervals can also be changed according to your net payment business terms, for example. For example, if we have net for 15 days of payment terms, or net 45 days, or net 90 days, these can be easily customized as per the customers and as per the users' needs. Same principle goes for the AP report as well. Instead of seeing the customer ID, we could see our vendors, and we could clearly see how much money do we owe to our vendors and how long it has been. So some of the advanced reports for AP and AR, which also are delivered out of the box with the financials. On the sales side, we have a lot more reports as well, such as sales invoice analysis, where we can compare the actuals versus last month, sales details, where we can see the invoices, the orders, deliveries, and returns. So let's go ahead and have a look at some of these reports as well. Let's open returns. So where we can see the calendar year, followed by the periods, customers, the return number, which is posted in our ERP, and the product IDs, which were actually returned. And then here we can see the metrics such as the return quantity, the amounts, the ledgers, so on and so forth. The UDM for sales also allows us to create the forecasts within SEI. How this actually works is that users have the ability to create the forecasts by quarter, by month, or by week, first of all. And depending on what period of time they choose, whether it's a quarter or a month or a week, they can then further have two different sets of data models. The first one being a place where they will be able to define their own forecast. They will give a name to the forecast, a revision number. They will be able to choose what is year type the forecast is based on, whether it's a fiscal year or is it a calendar year. Further, they will be able to define what kind of forecast type is going to be. Is it based on the amount, or is it based on the quantity? Finally, they will be able to select this reference year. So let's say if we are creating the forecast for 2021 by keeping our reference year as 2020, so SEI will take the reference year 2020's data to increase that data by the percentage increase defined right here, which I'm defining as 15%, for example, so that it will apply that percentage increase to the forecast created for 2021. So that's how simple it is. And with the next version of SEI, we will also have some more advanced capabilities to create spreadsheets with 0 entries, and then so that we can go into those spreadsheets and manually tweak in the numbers starting from the scratch. And we can also use the regression models to create our projections. So the result of creating a forecast will look something what I'm going to show in this report here. And these reports are slightly different from what we have seen before. Here we are looking at the forecast name, the revision numbers, followed by the different customers. And then on this side, we have all these columns, which are named from period N all the way to N plus 11. And these are also blue in color, which means this is first of all, the forecast created based on the percentage increase defined for our reference year. So all the 15% increase that we defined has been already applied on this forecast. And then we can further go into these cells, because these cells are activated with the data entry feature, which means we can go and manually change these digits if needed. Let's say if I want to change this 95,000 amount to 86,000, I can enter that amount, hit enter, and then it readily changes the amount right here, but it also affects the top rows depending on the different totals, how the total is calculated on the top, whether it's a split by ratio, whether it's distributed equally. Those rows can also be managed on the data model level. And once the forecast here looks great, we can then push it and in fact send it for the approval for our managers. And then the managers will be having the ability to go into the next data model where they can accept, reject, or delete the forecast. Once the forecast is accepted, then it can further be pushed into the different dashboards where we can compare the actuals versus forecast performances based on the forecast that we create within SEI. A similar functionality is going to be very soon available for budgeting within the help of the universal data model within the realm of financials, of course. So I just definitely wanted to mention about that too. All right, so I just mentioned briefly about the dashboards, and now is the time that I must show you some of the dashboards which are delivered out of the box. So there are dashboards which are ERP specific, just like the reports, which will be tailored to Sage 100. But there are also a lot more dashboards which are delivered out of the box with the universal data model. We have role-based dashboards such as CFO, profit and loss, financial performance, where we can also compare the actuals versus budget. So let's go ahead and open one of these. All right, so in this particular dashboard, which is a CFO dashboard, we are looking at a lot of different KPIs put together to give us the full story of the business. Different KPIs, different visualizations, which are all created within SEI and put together to create this dashboard. We have a filtering panel right here on the top, with the help of which we can easily filter on the data on these dashboards. For example, if we go in the fiscal period and we want to select fiscal period 3, we can simply apply that filter and readily see the changes as they are applied on this dashboard. These dashboards, therefore, are dynamic. They're fully functional and they're also customizable, which means we can go into the added dashboard option and we can resize these views if needed. We can delete them and bring in our own choice of visualizations within these reports or these dashboards, I'm sorry. Here, for example, I will bring one of the posting analysis reports and I'll simply drag and drop that in the dashboard. And the next thing we see is that the report is now a part of this dashboard. We still have the ability to scroll through this report, drill down, depending on how many drill down features of the fields that we have defined in our drill down. We'll be able to go all the way down to that level and have access to the information that we really want to see. I have another example to show on the sales side when it comes to dashboards. Let's open sales performance dashboard. In this dashboard, again, we are looking at a lot of different KPIs such as invoice quantity, cost, margin, and we are comparing against the values from the last year, I'm sorry. And then there are a lot of different visualizations that we also have access to here. There is a map where we can hover onto the state and then we can see with the help of the tooltip various dimensions which we can also customize. In this example, we are looking at the invoice amount from the state of Washington. And then if needed, we can also filter on the state of Washington so that everything else on this dashboard shows us the data only for that particular state, which I am going to do right now. So I'm going to add Washington to my filter. And as we see now, the data on this dashboard shows us the information only particular to the state. We can easily come back and remove the filters and come back to the original view of this dashboard. Another thing that we can do with these dashboards is that we can spot different trends and then go back into the underlying data, which is stored within the worksheets where we started from. For example, here in this visualization, which is comparing the sales of this year of the products of this year versus last year, where the blue bars are showing us the actuals versus the red slots here, which are showing us the amounts from the last year. So looking at this visualization, we can clearly see the product aspirin has not done as well as the last year. And I would like to know more details about this, how and what is happening with the product of aspirin. So we can go into the bar representing this product and link this to the underlying data with the help of the worksheet. So here, this list gives us the access to the various worksheets we can connect to. And then we choose the worksheet which we think will give us the right answers. And then the product is already filtered as we were looking at aspirin in the dashboard. And now this worksheet shows us the data only for this particular product. We can further drill down on aspirin to see the next level, which is the bill to city. And there we can see the list of cities in which this product is being sold. Now looking at the data for different cities, we can clearly see in the city of Hamburg, we had the lowest sales for aspirin. And if we further want to do more analysis on this report, let's say if I want to now know who is the sales rep for the city of Hamburg. So we can go in the dimensions and measures, go into organization, bring our sales rep ID, drag and drop that into our groups right after bill to city. So the next time I drill down on Hamburg as my bill to city, I'll be able to actually see who is the sales rep for that city. Now I know this name, I know this person, and I might want to get in touch with Hans to understand what is going on with the sales of aspirin within Hamburg and if he needs any help. So we can use the sharing and distribution ability of SDI there. And that's where I would like to show all the different tools which come with the sharing and distribution, which help us collaborate with our team in a safe and secure manner. We have the ability to export these reports, first of all, in the format of our choice, whether it's PDF, Excel, HTML. We choose the format and we are delivered the report in that particular format. Further, we can also send a comment on these reports, which takes a screenshot of the exact same report and shows us a drill down level as well. So we can highlight Hans's name, annotate on this report, and then add any text if needed. Let's say if we would like to ask Hans if need any help with the sales here, we can type that in and send an email to Hans by typing his email here, subject message, and then the annotations that we create on this visualization will be attached and sent to Hans with the email. We can also do a print of this report directly from within SCI, do a page setup, which comes with various options such as setting the margins, the headers, and the footers. And most importantly, we can schedule the distribution of these reports by setting a schedule of our own choice. So I have something more advanced to show on the scheduler side, where we will be able to choose how we would like to receive these reports, whether by email or simply saving them on a network drive. If that's the case, we provide a network path here, a shared network, and whoever will have access to this network path will be able to go and grab the reports from there. Further, we can create what we call as the reporting packs. Now, reporting packs can be something very, very useful when it comes to putting different reports all together to be shared across the teams or to be presented to a board of directors, for example. So an example of this could be a financial reporting pack where we can filter on all the financial reports available and offered by SCI, and we can select a bunch of them. And just in case we would like to do a mix and match of different reports, let's say if I would want to include one of the sales visualization, a chart for sales, I can bring that in as well. And then any of the reports sitting in Excel, we can also bring them in and have them scheduled over the time. So that's another ability to bring in the reports from Excel and distribute them. Finally, we give it a quick name. Let's say a reporting pack, add a cover page to that, where we have the ability to add the company logos and then give a formal description with the text field here, add the dynamic variables, and finally add table of contents, which will list all these different reports and visualizations we chose. Then we can go ahead and choose the different users and the groups who would like to receive these reports. And with the help of the security settings which are available within SCI, we can even control who sees what information on these reports. If you would like to hide a certain column or a row or a particular information on these reports from certain users, we can set different users with different roles. The security option right here helps us set up the users and groups with the different roles and restrictions. So once we have chosen our different users and groups here, we can finally go ahead and set the schedule. Let's say if I would like to receive this reporting back every Monday and Wednesday at 9 a.m., that's the schedule that I have set up, and that's in fact everything I need to do, and hit save. And the next thing is all taken care by SCI's scheduler, where users can rely on the scheduling facility to receive the updated reports from time to time. Another tab that I didn't talk about yet is the conditions tab, where users can go in and create the alerts by defining their own conditions. An example of this could be keeping a very close eye on the stock levels in the warehouse, for example. A warehouse manager could come in here and define a rule that if the stock levels of a particular item fall below 1,000, I need to be notified about that. And if the condition is met, that is great. If it is not met, then they can actually receive a notification with a report so that they can be more proactive about the situation, reorder the stock levels, and take care of that situation right there and then. So those alerts can be managed with the help of conditions. And the end result of a reporting pack will look something like this, where we have a company logo on the top, which is totally customizable. Here I'm using SCI. We have the table of contents, followed by a report on each separate page. We have a visualization comparing sales forecast, and then we have the balance sheet report and the cash flow report, so on and so forth. The last thing I would like to show and talk about in the web application before we move on to the Excel add-in is the reporting tree. Now, a reporting tree is a part which is a feature, is in fact a very important feature, which is delivered with the help of the report designer. And first of all, talking about the report designer itself, where we can really be more tangible with these reports. For example, here, the layout of this report is very different from what we have seen before. We have a title of the report on the top with the various dynamic variables, followed by fiscal year, fiscal period, and then the report itself is broken down into multiple parts, such as sales, for example, has its own totals row. Same goes for COGS and expenses. They all have their own totals row. And then we can even calculate the net income on the fly with the help of the custom calculations which are available in these cells. And then the reporting tree. Now, what a reporting tree actually does, it is basically a set of different filters which we can use and which in fact facilitates the filtering on these reports with a single click of the button based on our company's hierarchy. Now, for example, a Sage 100 database, which supports multiple entities, we might want to see consolidated postings of all the company at large, for which we could set up a tree something like this, where we have consolidated as our parent filter, and then it will show us all the consolidated postings. And then we can go into the different regions. That's in North America. And then within North America, we have two different companies set up. I will like to click on the company name, NA10, and then it will easily show me the postings as I simply click on that button for that company. Further, these companies could have different site codes or department codes or cost centers. We can go into the site code, click on that button, and then the report easily, again, quickly loads to show me the postings particular to that site. This is just one example of how we can use the reporting tree, but it is not only limited to financials. We can use the reporting tree for our warehousing operations, for our sales operations, for our campaigns within the CRM operations, and it's provided as a clean slate, and it's up to the users how they would like to use this to their benefit. They can include different dimensions here. We have up to 10 different dimensions that we can use when setting up the reporting trees. All right, and that would be everything I wanted to show on the web application. And I'll take a quick moment to talk about the Excel add-in, which is a second platform of SCI. Equally strong and equally powerful, of course, combining the capabilities of Excel as well, and also the calculation and data extraction abilities of SCI. Here are some of the sample reports which we have created using Excel add-in for SCI, such as financial analysis, income statement, trial balance, balance sheet. And we have this tool right here, the add-ins, which comes with over 25 different options which we can use to create these reports. We have the data extraction, which is a very easy to use pick and choose functionalities sort of tool where we can go and pick a data model of our choice. Let's say here, we go and pick the GL transactions, we choose an environment, and it shows all the different dimensions that we can access with the help of this data model. We choose the dimensions, we apply the filters, which are here on the left-hand side of the screen, and then we can even order by a dimension of our choice. Let's say if we would like to order the data as the report loads per the account code in an increasing or descending order, we have those abilities too. Further, these cells can be also calculated without having to type all these big formulas right here in the formula bar. I'll show you in a quick second what I mean by that. So let's talk about this cell right here. We can go into formula wizard, which again is a very easy pick and choose functionality sort of tool where we can go and pick a data model of our choice, choose the field, what we want to include in our calculation, and what operation we would like to do on that field. Finally, define the different filters, and that's exactly how these calculations have been done on this report. We can further use more advanced tools such as doing a formula drill down on these reports. For example, if you would like to drill down against 4110 as our account code right here, we can go into the formula drill down, choose all the fields or very specific fields. We have that option, and then click OK. And as a result of that, we will have a new spreadsheet created for us, which will show us the account code 41100 with all the different postings as we selected. We can also create multiple copies of these reports spread across different company codes, different departments, divisions, cost centers, fiscal periods with the help of the duplicator tool. For example, here, I go and choose the data model. And let's say I want to create the financial performance worksheet right here in the background and spread that across the first 6 fiscal periods. So I will go and select the first 6 fiscal periods here, and I'll define where is the fiscal period field coming from right here. And as a result of that, we will have 6 new spreadsheets created right here at the bottom, where we can see exactly the same layout of the report, but showing us the postings for fiscal periods which are different. We can create the static copies of these reports and share them across the team, or even schedule these reports with the help of the scheduler that I was talking about earlier in the web application. And then we can also use the reporting tree that we just recently talked about and easily filter based on the company's hierarchy. We can use pivot tables and dump the data in the pivots and use that data for analysis even while we are on the go, not connected to the internet. So multiple options which are there for us to create the reports in Excel and have access to our data. And that'll be it from my side. And now we can open the floor to the questions. And Ryan, I will pass over the reins back to you.
Thank you. Just give me one sec. Let me share my screen again. So yeah, just want to share with you before we get into the questions, just a few resources that if you're curious to learn more about Sage Enterprise Intelligence, you'll be able to access our online help that give you all the technical, let me answer all your technical questions. We also provide you a link to our universal data models, so you can check out all the different reports and dashboards that are readily available to you. And we also have a few documents that we'll be able to share, which is our product sheet for Sage 100 Cloud, as well as our white paper for SEI. So your partner, Vracas Bloom, will be sharing a copy of this presentation, so you'll be able to navigate through these links. Our contact information are here, so feel free to reach out to me or Jasdeep if you have any follow-up questions or wish to learn more about the product. At the same time, also feel free to reach out to your partner, Vracas Bloom, for any questions regarding the software as well as pricing.